Oh my god.
Where's all your money gone, Donnie?
Taxes. 9, 10, 11. Let me fix my houses.
But it's okay. It's part of the game.
No, it's not fun.
It's not fun to what?
It's the worst part of the game.
It's what?
Taxes.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, having a look at the charts, it is the weekend, so we do know to take the weekend always with a grain of salt. However, we're not even seeing that crazy weekend pump or weekend dump. It's actually very quiet across the board. Look at these moves. There really aren't any. Bitcoin up 0.78%, Ethereum up 0.86%, some coins are down 0.2%. Very quiet, very boring, very concerning in a way. Now, if you are a short-term person or you have a mindset where you're only looking to trade very short-term in this space, well, this could potentially be the do or die moment for Bitcoin, because we are sitting right here on some very, very critical support. And I am anticipating a bit of a calm before the storm type of a move, because whenever the markets get this quiet, we usually see some massive volatility. Now, I am expecting some volatility in these charts. And if you are looking to trade the short term, make sure that you watch this video, because I'm going to let you know exactly what I'm anticipating. And let me tell you, it is a little bit crazy what I do think could happen in these charts. So make sure that you stick around for that. But, you know, talking about everything that's been going on right now, you know, Bitcoin is in a situation it's never really seen. You're talking about a potential recession. We've never actually seen Bitcoin in a recession, right? It was birthed out of the 2008 financial recession. So there are some macroeconomic conditions that could actually put Bitcoin between a rock and a hard place. But before you go selling everything, going 100% into cash, having a look right here, you can actually see that yesterday we were sitting in extreme fear for Bitcoin, currently up a little bit back into fear. But one of the questions is right now, is everyone actually a little bit too bearish on Bitcoin? I mean, think about it. You go on Twitter, it's quiet. You go on YouTube, lots of, influencers aren't really uploading videos. I mean, I've even taken a few days off because there just isn't enough news. There's not enough price action to really talk about. So when everyone is sort of expecting something terrible to happen, when everyone is in fear, does that usually happen? I mean, think about it. The 2008 financial crisis, that was considered a black swan event. Most people weren't expecting it, whereas everyone right now is expecting terrible news for, these types of assets, right? So that is something that I do want to talk about. And we're going to talk about why the macro picture for Bitcoin actually still looks very, very good. I'm going to show you some compelling data, which I think could convince you of that. But of course, we do need to prepare for the imminent volatility. And I think next week is going to be absolutely crazy for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So if you want to hear my opinion on that, today we are going to do a fair share of news, of course, TA, and a little bit of rant, just sort of going over how I've been in similar situations like this before in my 6 years of experience, but not quite like this. So we're going to have a little bit of a fireside chat today, guys, if that sounds good to you. Also, if you have been sticking around, if you are still in the space, if you are still watching crypto videos while everyone else has left, everyone else has abandoned the space, well, when Bitcoin does eventually break its new all-time high, which I do believe is still 100% possible this year, well, they can go cry because you guys stuck around for it. So if you are not subscribed, if you're new, if you've never seen a CryptoZombie video before, welcome to the channel. Make sure you get subscribed. Take advantage of the links below in the description if you do want to get some of those bonuses. But guys, as you can see right here, and I'm going to tell you, this is very, very calm right now for Bitcoin. Essentially what we're doing is we're having one of these moments where the price just sort of fluctuates in this range. People get really bored, or because it's sitting so low, they tend to get bearish, right? Same way we were down here and down here. And each time, what did we do? We had massive moves. You could see right here from bottom to top. we had a 25% move while everyone was being bearish. Down here, February 27th, we had a 21% move. And then most recently, from March 14th all the way up here to March 29th, we had a 28% move. Now, are we preparing for one of these moves, or is this just simply too much on the support? And, you know, like jumping on a trampoline, you do it too much, what happens? You fall through the floor. So is that what we're going to do? Well, one thing I want to point out is every time we consolidated around these levels, people got bored, people got comfortable, and what happened? The price had a massive wick down to the bottom, right? Essentially sort of wiping out, liquidating all of those longs, only to have a massive breakout to the upside. And this is essentially what we have done almost every single time in this consolidation period, which I might add, by the way, we are continuing to put in higher lows and higher highs, which is technically bullish, right? So what I anticipate could happen, it could either just be a straight up fake out and we just absolutely pump out of nowhere. However, that would be a little bit not really to be expected, right? There's not really that momentum right now. But what you can expect potentially, and I'm just saying to prepare for this, not saying it's going to happen, but you can see right here, we often do have these moves to the downside that break us out of these lower consolidation formations before having the blast off to the upside. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did break down, actually have a breakdown, you know, potentially down to even this $37,000 area, maybe even down to the 36 right here, just to freak people out. But you could see that this is on the daily. This is on the daily time frame. So for example, here, February 24th, Bitcoin opened the day at $37,200. We dumped all the way down to 34,000 only to actually close the day at 38,000, higher than where we started. And then we did start that major uptrend. So I am saying that there is that potential that we do have that fake out before having the move to the upside. Obviously right here, major resistance, the area that I'm looking for Bitcoin to go. I'm still anticipating Bitcoin to go around 44,600. And then we can reassess it before having any major move to the downside. I am still anticipating that, guys. And once again, I do apologize for my voice. I thought it was because of Miami. I thought maybe it was because of the loud music and the talking. But now that I look outside, I realize it is spring in New York. There's a lot of flowers and pollen, and I'm definitely having a little bit of allergies right now. So just thank you for dealing with that, guys. But having a look right here, you could see that if we just draw these spider lines out, we are in fact moving upwards each time. Now, the area to pay attention to down here is where we have this VPVR, right? So this is the highest level of volume, and that is around $32,785. So could there be a possibility of retesting that? One theory that we've had on this channel for a very long time, and I still remain bullish, I'm not bearish, is that we would have this giant M-shaped pattern, right? Where we do come down and we do revisit this level where we put in 1, 2, 3, right? It's like a triple bottom, and then we continue to the upside. Now, I showed you multiple instances historically in traditional charts, in the Dow, in the S&P, where it did moves just like this, actually falling even lower, freaking everyone out before going on, you know, multi-year bull runs, right? So that is something that you can expect. And if we have a look at the spider lines that Miles J drew, although these are a lot more technical than mine, he does point out the significance right here of this 0.75 where we happen to be dancing. And you can see if we go all the way back here to the very bottom of this level and we just follow this trend out, look at how this trend right here, right, was acting as support, acting as resistance, sort of dancing right there as support resistance, okay? And here we find ourselves there again. Not to mention down here, he also points out this declining RSI where we usually do look for that breakout. You can see we were right there dancing around that level. Same thing. As soon as we broke out above it, we had a massive, massive rally. And if we just go back to my historical trends, and these are, in my opinion, the two most important, taking the top of the 2017 bull run and taking the top of the mid-cycle run in June, and we come here, we could see that where those 2 points crossed right here, we had a weekly candle July 19th of last year having a perfect bounce off that level. Now, these lines have clearly deviated, right? They had their cross, but we are seeing that we are being supported by this level. So we are still continuing to put in higher highs and higher lows, not only on the lower time frame, but also on the bigger time frame. If we just take this giant structure right here, this full structure that we've been in now for about a year and 3 months, we are still putting in higher highs and higher lows Obviously, on the candle closes, we do have these wicks that tend to wick down, scare investors. But ultimately, if we just have a look, as I was pointing out, Bitcoin tends to never fall below the 1.618. We've already retested this area 2 times, and previously, historically, this does call for the bottom in these mid-cycle moves. And if you believe that we are in lengthening cycles, which obviously we have a lot of capital coming in from newer investors, from Wall Street, from these bigger players who are not looking for a quick flip, they're not looking for a little 10%, 20%, they're looking to hold this for 10 years plus, and they are not going to sell. It does change the game a little bit. And the same thing that we pointed out with the triple bottom that we could be having right here, 1, 2, 3, you can see was very similar back here, 1, 2, 3. And we also had that test of the 1.618 right here. Once we got off that level, we never came back from it again. And as I did show you right here, once we broke above the 4.23, okay, Bitcoin essentially rallied all the way up here. We had 299%. We had 1,234% from that to the top. And I showed you in my previous video, if you do consider diminishing returns, if you do consider that maybe we would only get half of that or something of that nature, then essentially that puts Bitcoin at around 138% from breaking out of the 4.23, which still has Bitcoin on track for $180,000 Bitcoin by the end of this cycle. When is this cycle going to end? Well, that's really, we don't really know, because if we're not going to follow the 4-year structure, then we can't keep saying that it's going to do the same thing over and over again. Maybe we hit 180,000 in 2024 or maybe at the beginning of 2023. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take, right? But obviously there are a lot of people that are worried right now that the dollar has been acting very strongly. Now, I do understand why this is a concern. The Fed is definitely talking about tapering. They're realizing that there's inflation. They're definitely lying about those numbers. And people are concerned that the dollar is going to recover. I still have some of my drawings on here from the other day, but you can see this level right here, how important it was right here at this sort of exactly 100 level, right? And if we look at what the dollar tends to do, it usually breaks above that, you know, and what does it do? It has a failed rally and then it falls down again. Now, obviously, we know that has a lot to do with inflation, but nevertheless, show me the charts, I'll tell you the news. It does look like we're struggling at this area again. So this is why I said we could see that quick sort of flash crash for Bitcoin if we have the dollar breaking out of this level, because then everyone's going to say, okay, that's it. The dollar's breaking out. Everything's going bullish. But what happens every time we do it? We break out, we fall down. We break out, we fall down. And I mean, you know, if I zoom out to the overall chart of the dollar, it's basically just a never-ending downtrend. I mean, it just keeps trending lower and lower and lower and lower, and I don't think that they're ever going to be able to fix that, but nevertheless, it is creating fear in the space. So essentially, you know, a chart that a 5-year-old could see, just to break it down for you guys, I do think this is the calm before the storm. I do think we're seeing something like, you know, these consolidations that we saw here, even though we had a little bit of fake out right there. I think we're seeing something very similar. However, notice that before we had all of these, not only did we have these big moves, but we also had massive spikes in volume. Look at this candle right here. Look at this candle right here, okay? We have not seen any kind of volume. Okay, a little bit of red right here, but that's not enough for me. I mean, I need volume to at least come up, you know, somewhere to here to really be convinced that this is the move. And I think what's probably going to push that is maybe a fake out to the downside. You can see we have some support right here at around 36,400. That would be an area for a long. I actually have some buys down at that level just in case. And then I would anticipate a reversal to the upside. So that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. I'm actually sitting in this calm before the storm, fake out kind of moment where I think we could see the dollar pump maybe come Monday. Bitcoin Monday or Tuesday has a little bit of a pullback. Everyone thinks, you know, that's it. We have one of those daily sort of Darth Maul wicks. Everyone gets liquidated. And then I do think that we will continue the rally to the upside because, like I said, is everyone getting a little bit too bearish? Everyone is expecting this, right? We're going to talk about it a little bit more throughout the video. But if you just look at what's happening, like according to Sentiment, you had 25,878 Bitcoin moved off the exchanges in just the past 24 hours. This is the largest difference between outflow and inflow in 5 weeks. So historically, large quantities of Bitcoin moving off of exchanges leads to price rises given a few days for the pattern to hold, right? So time is a key factor in this, right? Everybody wants it to just pump and dump and change overnight. No, you need to build that structure. And we've been building that foundation now for a year year and 3 months. Like Key Young Ju points out, 30K Bitcoin flowed out of Coinbase today alone. Institutional buys may become the narrative again because the Biden executive order really didn't create any hurdle. They didn't say they were going to stifle innovation or stop this or ban this. They basically were like, we're just going to sit back and see what's going on, right? And one thing that traders hate more than bad news is uncertainty. Because if you have bad news, you can price it in. If you have good news, you can price it in. If you don't know what to expect, you don't know what to do. And traders don't like that uncertainty. You can see right here, net outflows of Bitcoin, 926 million. However, we have had net inflows of Ethereum around 177 and a net inflow of Tether around 125. So historically, Bitcoin getting taken off the exchanges, outflows show that we are looking for a positive move, but we have seen altcoins, Ethereum, Tether moving into the space. Why is this? Well, one example could just be what they're doing over at the Luna Foundation. Over the weekend, they added to their Bitcoin holdings, bringing it to 43K Bitcoin. They say that Luna Foundation is now ranked as the 18th largest Bitcoin holder in the world, and the project's founder stated that the accumulation of the asset will open a new monetary era of the Bitcoin standard. So if these big institutions, and I'm not really saying Luna is a, traditional institution, they're obviously in the crypto space, but like we pointed out in my previous video, Alex Mashinsky from Celsius was saying that he said, don't fight the Fed. You try to fight the Fed, you're going to lose. But he said this time is going to be different for Bitcoin because now we are actually seeing these big players hedging into Bitcoin, right? We've seen what Michael Saylor has done. We saw Tesla even buying, even though Elon's a little weird about it. Whatever. He'll come around, I'm sure. And, Do Kwon. So essentially, you're seeing them put it on the balance sheets. You're seeing countries, literally countries, put Bitcoin on the balance sheets. Even just locally in the US, we're seeing, cities and states looking to put it on their balance sheets as well. And this is going to be that really big narrative shift that Bitcoin actually needs, switching from a risk off to a risk on. However, these things take time. I know you watch these videos every day and we all want it to just change overnight. But have you ever just seen the US Congress try to pass something or figure something out? I mean, it is dinosaurs, guys. They just drag it on and on and on. I mean, what are they doing right now with the rate hikes? I mean, come on. Oh yeah, 25% basis points. Okay, yeah, we did something. We made a change. See what I'm saying, guys? So it does take time. But what you are noticing, and this is just something worth pointing out from Crypto Quant, is that the Bitcoin mining hash rate has been recording a steady uptick since late June. Simultaneously, the mining fees have retained their continuously low level. So you're not seeing miners capitulate. You're actually seeing Bitcoin mining growing at a very rapid rate, right? In fact, the hash rate of Bitcoin right now has grown from around 58 million hash seconds to around 217 million hash seconds. This is an incredible growth. Meanwhile, the sum of all the rewards paid to Bitcoin miners is around 10.71 Bitcoin compared to almost 100 Bitcoin in late June. So the mining rewards have been at the more or basically they're kind of hanging around the same area or they're even lower. So they say, in other words, the mining competition has been intensifying for the past 10 months, irrespective of the low fees that miners have been receiving. So the miners are receiving lower fees and Bitcoin is trading at a lower price, yet hash rate and mining difficulty are going up. The network is the most secure it's ever been, and there's more competition than ever. Why would people, miners specifically, be flocking to this space if they really, truly didn't believe in it or felt like there was going to be some catastrophic event that was going to happen, right? Usually you can look at these type of minor capitulation events to really predict when you're going to see some really, really bad price action. But I do want to take the flip side on it because there was an interview with Lynn Alden, macro guru. I really enjoy her take. She is very, very smart. That's all I'll say. She knows her stuff. Sometimes I got to play the video back 2 times to be like, wait, what did she say? So she's talking about a new economic variable that might make it a little bit difficult for Bitcoin over the next 6 months. She says she's very uncertain because historically, if you look at rising and falling PMI or purchasing managers index environments, most of Bitcoin's bull run activity occurs during a rising PMI environment. She says when you have favorable liquidity, risk on behavior, Bitcoin tends to do very well. When we're seeing stocks go up, we're seeing Bitcoin go up even harder. when we see stocks go sideways, we tend to see Bitcoin fall. But what happens if stocks fall? That's the big question, right? How hard would Bitcoin get hit then? So she says what's new is that Bitcoin's never really encountered a stagflationary environment in major developed markets. So that's a whole new variable. She goes on to say that despite the uncertainty, Bitcoin is still a better investment compared with other assets. She says, I certainly would rather own Bitcoin than some of these other companies that have tons of supply chain exposure, margin pressure, things like that. We'll see if it starts trading like a commodity, but she says that Bitcoin will remain due to its strong fundamentals. Quote, she says, I'm kind of neutral over the next 6 months. I would expect volatility, and I am expecting some volatility pretty soon, probably, I would say within the next week. I think we're going to start seeing some crazy moves. You can quote me on it. I might be wrong. I just think that this is the calm before the storm, and I do think we're going to see some crazy moves. If you're a trader, well, you're probably going to enjoy these next couple weeks, but the development that's happening on it, the use case for it could be clear, especially now that people are fleeing from Ukraine, and once they self-custody Bitcoin, they have some of the easiest time in terms of bringing wealth with them with the least tasks, right? But getting back to what I said in the beginning of the video, number one, actually, here's like the little rant part. So I've obviously been in the space for a while. I bought my first Bitcoin at $2,000. I watched it go all the way up to 20, only to fall back to the $3,000 level again. Then we had that pump in the mid-year to 14,000, fell all the way back to 3,000 again. So for people new in the space, 80%, 85% pullbacks seem crazy, but I've kind of grown accustomed to it. Maybe I've become a little bit desensitized, and I could tell you every single time what happened at the bottom. Everyone walks away. People stop making crypto videos. People stop talking about it on Twitter. They stop covering it on the news. And what do we always know every time in hindsight? These boring, drawn out, lengthy bear trends, sideways crabs turn out to be the absolute greatest opportunities for accumulation and for buying. And some of the altcoins right now specifically are at very appealing levels. Now, keep in mind, if Bitcoin does fall, these altcoins are probably going to get hit harder. But I have actually personally been scooping up some altcoins right now. Phantasma was down at like 75 cents. How could you pass that up? I think that's an absolutely ridiculous valuation for that project. Had to scoop up some more of that. Other projects as well, Symbiosis, there's a lot of them that are coming out still, but it is that uncertain time. So I don't really want to talk too much about altcoins right now, only because we could go lower. But I do think that if there are altcoins out there, not just ones I've spoken about, but ones that you really like, you believe in, these could be the opportunities. But I'm not really here to talk about altcoins today. Getting back to Bitcoin, like Dylan LeClaire says, these are the things that are creating the fear, right? We have rising yields, spiking volatility, NASDAQ puking, Bitcoin following in tandem. But he says correlation breaks eventually for multiple reasons. He says, my guess, eventually credit system breaks and volatility explodes. Bitcoin follows, but more because of derivative traders and not spot selling. Bitcoin bears conditioned to fade every rally, get wrecked as spot supply continues to constrain. And we do know that we are entering a liquidity crisis, a liquidity shock for Bitcoin. We had the 19 millionth Bitcoin mined, I think it was like 2 weeks ago or something like that. And people are realizing that there really aren't a lot of Bitcoin left for the rest of us. I can't do the math right now. 7.8 billion people in the world, divide that by 21 million. That's really how much there is for each person. But a number we can look at more easily is about 48 million millionaires in the world. There's not even enough for each one of them to own one Bitcoin, right? So these are the reasons why I do remain bullish long-term for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is most certainly going to $100,000. In fact, that's, within the next 12 months, that's what the CEO of Nexo says. He says that it could soar over $100,000, adding that a stock market crash would likely force the Fed to go back into easing, right? So if we do actually have that crash, I just want you guys to understand, I think that would be the opportunity of a lifetime. If we had that crash and we went into that bear, right, that would be the moment that everyone who just got into crypto recently would be hoping for. Now, I know that short term, that sucks, right? Because everyone was promising to the moon, right? Well, we had a little bit of an unexpected event, right? We had a war breakout. We had a lot of situations that we weren't quite expecting, but nevertheless, those are the times for accumulation. So despite the bullish long-term Bitcoin price prediction, he is worried that Bitcoin could fall in the coming months, dropping along with institutional markets as the Fed tapers its unprecedented COVID-era stimulus program and begins to raise interest rates. His warnings echo others in the crypto market as well. You have crypto market analyst at Tokyo-based Bitcoin and crypto exchange BitBank, Yuya Hasegawa. I probably said that wrong. But so anyway, even though multiple Fed members have continued to voice support for more monetary tightening this week, the market's inflation expectations have not notched lower and are continuing to fluctuate sideways at high levels, right? So once again, guys, just getting back to this overall Bitcoin chart. I mean, you could see right here, look at this little sort of like mid-cycle rally or failed rally in the beginning of the bull, whatever you want to call it. You know, if we just go from when Bitcoin hit that top around 14,000, look at this, guys. So if we actually stretch this out, and keep in mind, we actually fell 71%. 71%. And this is why I say these crazy moves for Bitcoin are possible. But right here, it literally took 483 days of sideways, boring, downwards, fearful, scary accumulation. Lots of people left the space. Lots of people said it was over. Why are you wasting your time in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? Over a year, guys, 483 days later. And what happened? As soon as we reached that same level again, and I'm just going from this level, Bitcoin literally pumped 427%. And that's just from when we broke this level. If you want to really call from the bottom of that crazy, 1,738%. Now, who actually bought this bottom down here? I'll be honest, not a lot of people did, guys. But nevertheless, that was the time to be paying the most attention. That was the time to be doing the most research. That was the time to be selling lemonade, getting a second job, figuring out more ways to accumulate Bitcoin while everyone was too busy panic selling. Imagine the people down here that were selling for all this fear, that had held from 14, only to then watch it go all the way up to $70,000. Don't be that person, my friends. Don't be that person. And getting back to the charts, I just want to end here. You can see we had this big wick down here. We had this big wick down here. Keep in mind, these were on the daily. I wouldn't be surprised if, next week we see some crazy wick down here, spooks everybody out. We come down to that $36,000 level, instantly get pulled back up, dance around, and boom, we head back up higher, right? That's what I'm predicting. I don't really like to make predictions, especially in this type of a market. The only other thing is, maybe we do just have a breakout. Maybe we don't. Maybe everyone's like bearish enough right now, and we do just break up. But I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, to see that fake out. Excellent opportunity to put in a long down here. If you guys do want to learn how to trade, by the way, check the tutorial popping up above. Thousands and thousands of dollars in bonuses below. You guys know the drill. But moving on to some news. Let's end on some news. If there is any news, this is like the most news I could find. Charles Hoskinson, replied to Elon Musk saying, "Elon, if Twitter rejects your offer, then hit me up. Happy to build a decentralized one." A decentralized Twitter has been getting some backlash. DevChart says, "Can't wait for the university research papers on how great of a product you will build in 5 years." Banking Benjamin says it will only be able to send 10 messages a minute and take 5 years to build. So a little bit of negativity around that, but that is some news for my Cardano fans. And for everyone in the XRP camp, I usually don't cover too much Ripple news, but Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse says he's confident that the company will come out well of its lengthy court battle with the US SEC, as they believe it will be nearing a conclusion soon. Ripple has disputed the SEC's finding, arguing that XRP could be treated as a virtual currency rather than an investment contract like a stock. The lawsuit has gone exceedingly well, according to Garlinghouse, and much better than I could have hoped when we began this 15 months ago. But the wheels of justice move slowly. Now, I'm bringing this up because in an interesting, also bit of news, President Biden has announced the former Ripple advisor as a pick for the Fed vice chair for supervision. I don't know if this means anything. It could be a coincidence. It could be something. What do you guys think? Is it time to ape into XRP? Is it time to just move all our bit? I don't know. Obviously I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that, but someone out there would suggest that could be a good idea, because following the withdrawal of former Federal Reserve Board Governor Sarah Bloom Raskin, United States President Joe Biden has announced his intention to nominate former Obama administration official and law professor Michael Barr as the central bank's vice chair for supervision, and he was a former Ripple advisor. So this is just kind of like the speculation that's going on right now. But as I said, guys, I'm still standing that this is a good opportunity right here. there is that fear, you know, that we have been jumping on the trampoline a little bit too much, jumping on the trampoline, jumping on the trampoline, jumping on the trampoline, and eventually the trampoline breaks and we all fall through to the bottom. But, you know, like I said, guys, ultimately, if we were to fall through, I would expect there to be some support around 36,475. Absolute worst level would be down here around 34. If we do break 34, then it would be time to maybe get a little bit more concerned. But, you know, going back over here, what happened? We fell down here. Everybody was freaking out. And what did we do? So oftentimes when everyone thinks something's going to happen, it usually doesn't. Everyone is very bearish right now. Everyone is quiet. Crypto Twitter is quiet. Influencers are not making videos anymore. So that to me says maybe it might be time to go against the grain. But that's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of content, make sure you get subscribed. My name's K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie. And if you haven't seen these videos popping up right here, right now, check them out. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.